Yeah! Welcome back to the Self-Important Douchebag Show. I'm thinking about starting a new website called the self-importantdouchebag.com. Because isn't that what Facebook is all about? Do we really need to know that you're checking in at a restaurant somewhere in Manhattan? Do we need to know your status updates every 20 minutes? Talk about self-important douchebag. Facebook is the biggest website on the planet because everyone's a self-important douche and everybody thinks that everybody wants to know what they're doing to a fault. All right. So, it's time for me to be a self-important douche now. And, all right, everybody put down your retrades, R-E-E. It's all anybody's talking about right now, okay? I, for one, am saying short it here at 16 bucks. It had that little blow-off top. I know nothing about the stock. I like the story of the minerals and the China's cutting back, so you got to pump up all the mineral stocks. But here's the thing. Whenever there's a hot sector, the lowest of the rung stocks start to come up. That's generally when you know that fad move is over. You got about, watch CNBC. You'll see about 40 or 50 new stocks appearing one after another. I guarantee you all of them are in the mineral industry somehow or some sort of China hyped up stock. And if you haven't learned anything about the hyped up China stocks, that's all they are. Most of these companies are not legitimate companies. I know I'm going out on a limb, saying that. When I said that about Rhino, I was called irresponsible, and look where that turned out. Because who am I, right? I'm just an ordinary guy, just basing everything on the fact that China, to me, is all smoke and mirrors. Do you know about the ghost cities? Search ghost cities of China, and you will know what really is going on in China. They're building cities and museums and malls and universities for nobody. They have a university that can house 2 million students. They have 11,000 people enrolled. There's something going on in China that doesn't make sense. And when something is questionable, like this retrade, a stock that was $1 or $2 that has catapulted to 15, 16 bucks, yeah, of course we can see this thing going to $20, $30. But reality has to set in, and a stock like that, with a blow-off top out at 16, you can see where it has a little V-top, looks like a mountain crest. The sellers trap the last guys in there, and then they start slamming the stock down. Nobody wants to sell out because you're all in this momentum play at the end of the year. But at the same time, this momentum plays could change on you in a heartbeat. And next thing you know, you're looking at a stock that's $12 and you're trying to figure out whether or not it's a real company. You're trying to justify the mineral story. Next thing you know, you've taken a bad day trade and you've turned into an investment in a company that you know nothing about, that you don't want to own, and you're probably going to be in it like 15 and change, and the stock's going to be at 12 and just going to slowly depreciate and go to zero. I don't know if it's going to go to zero. I don't even know if it's a real company. I know nothing about this except that it's the only game in town right now. The Chinese momentum stocks are back. Everything's back. But here's what I wanted to do. I know these videos, and I talk about Dow 20,000. Right now I'm having a battle about what modus tollens is and modus ponens and P versus Q. In the world of mathematics, there's something called the modus tollens theory. It's a probability equation, okay? I don't want to get too deep into it, but the idea is if one thing is going to happen equals something else will happen. If there's smoke, then there's fire. So if there's fire, there should be smoke. Goes like that. But what I went on to say is I made that video with the Dow 20,000 theory about how we're going up in 80% of the time based on the 500 days left trading to that date that I predicted Dow 20,000. Factored in with this, that, and the other thing, we're probably going to get the Dow 20,000. So somebody was upset that I didn't make a specific prediction about where I think 2011 was going to be. So I said, using the theory of modus tollens, if I say one thing, it should hold true that this will be true as well. Once we broke it down philosophically, and if we're going to be talking about philosophical trading now, we're getting a whole nother ballgame. But let's talk about reality trading. Granted, 2011 could be a horrible year, and the Dow could sit and close down 1,000 points, and then we could have a 9,000 point rally in 2012. I understand. So one does not imply the other. But what I'm coming to right now is who gives a shit. Who gives a shit what I say 2011 is going to bring? Did you pay attention to me when I said Dow would hit 11,000 by May when we were at 7,000? No, you didn't pay attention then. Were you with me when I said the Nasdaq will probably be at 2,500 when it was at 1,800? You didn't give a shit about predictions then. You didn't do anything about it. What the main thing is I am, Mr. Self-Important douchebag, retard, asswipe that I am, is that over the last couple of days, and you know that I'm not around. I'm not going to say I'm in the chat room every day pounding ideas, but when I do come into the chat room, what do? I supply ideas. And we're talking about Zolt. We're talking about Zolt, baby! Zolt! Yeah! Because I was going through the stocks.
Oh, there he goes screaming again. I don't know. Sometimes I like this guy, but then he goes ahead and starts screaming, and, my speakers get blown, and all kinds of shit starts happening.
So we're talking about the stocks that I have left over, the DryShips, okay? Now, if you bought the DryShips in the $6, you're probably pissed off right now because the stock has ultimately, absolutely let us down here going into the end of the year. We thought it was going to remain strong, and the DryShips has once again let us down. Let us down, trading at $5.36. My cost average, again, I was buying the stock at $4.20, $4.50, $5, $5.50, and $6. So my cost average is a little bit better than yours. Plus, this is an investment. So I'm not looking at it. If the stock ever breaks back below my original buy point of $4.20, I think the stock's done. Hopefully it doesn't happen overnight, that I'm not going to be able to get out of the stock. But they're venturing into a whole nother industry. This is DryShips. And don't forget, I got to get back to the Zolt story. Brain, don't forget, that's where your train of thought was headed. I'm just going to take a little detour. Don't forget. I should write it down. The DryShips. So I was going over the portfolio. We was talking about the shittiest stocks. Sometimes they have a move at the end of the year, otherwise known as the January effect. And I look at a lot of shitty stocks because generally at the end of the year, that's all I'm left with. So we're talking about the DryShips. All right, so the portfolio right now, we got the Digital Globe. I don't even talk about the Digital Globe because it's my long-term hold. Digital Globe, satellite imagery, DGI. Our buy price was 19. We started buying it heavily when it broke 22 and then 25, and we haven't touched it since. Still the same feeling on the stock. I believe it's a winner. I think it's going to chug maybe up to $40 this year. Slow mover, not a day trader. DryShips, once again, speculative play. Going back to the DryShip and the Baltic Dry Index, and another reason why people think that the market is all smoke and mirrors, if people are not shipping stuff, and I think we've touched upon the ship it theory, if they're not shipping, maybe the global recovery, the economic global recovery is fake. Because why is DryShips not participating in the rally? Why are the shippers still falling? Why is the Baltic Dry Index still getting hammered? Isn't this a gauge of where we are headed and the strength of the global economic recovery? But again, most indicators don't mean anything when you're dealing with the government buying stock and the government controlling everything. Look at AIG. If AIG keeps going up, that just proves another theory, and nothing makes sense. AIG, new highs, nothing makes sense. So remember, any prediction, no reason to make predictions, no reason to say anything. Let's go back to the DryShips. So if you're in the DryShips, you're pissed off right now. We're looking at it as an investment. And then we got the other dog, LLNW, another stock. But remember, I started buying this thing below 5. And then we got really ahead of ourselves when that Netflix news came out and the thing spiked to $9. Of course, not allowing this thing to get ahead of me, I had to buy into that rally because I didn't want this thing to go leaving town without me. So again, I was buying it at 5 and 6, and then I got some done. I bought some at 7.5. So my cost average right now is about $6.30, $6.40. We're losing the money on that, but that again is an investment. We're thinking that the Akamai's and the Limelights, all those companies are going to still be a good place to have some money this year because the internet, we've established the internet's not a fad. So we're sticking with that. Then of course we had the JBL, was the nice end of the year move. Didn't load up on the JBL like I wanted to because Kramer got in our way and drove the stock from 16 to 17.5. We were waiting for the Kramer fade. We never got the Kramer fade, so then we were forced to buy some at 17.5. and we sold some at 20 because a 5-point move in such a short period of time on that stock I thought would probably be a good idea to take some profit. Still small position in the JBL right now. We also own Adobe. Don't forget about Adobe. If ever Adobe and Apple mend their ways and they allow flash on the iPhones, Adobe is a $50 stock. Just like that. Okay, what else do we own? We own GE. We own OCZ. Somebody wanted to question me. Do your own homework on the OCZ. It's just go look at it. And now our new participant into the 2012 fund is OROCF. OROC F in the lithium industry. A penny stock, you say. Why would I be buying a penny stock? Put it this way. I bought the stock at $3. My out is $2.48. If it ever goes below $2.50, generally these stocks go back to zero. But I read it's one of those situations where somebody mentioned it to me, and the next thing you know, I'm reading about it in 2 other places. Whenever that happens, just like the JBL, somebody told me to kick a look at the JBL at 14 and change. Next thing you know, I heard JBL over there. I'm reading about JBL over there. I'm reading about JBL over there. Next thing you know, JBL gives us 5 points. Same thing with the OROC F. Do some homework on that one. It's a pink sheet stock. Sometimes you don't want to have your money in that industry. Okay, and then of course we got the Penson, PNSN. The stock's been $5 for 3 years right now. Garbage piece of shit trading clearinghouse that I was sold into, that they were going to have some new software that was going to revolutionize the clearing industry, but apparently they're outdated and a done company, Penson. Then of course we got the 2000 Qs short as our hedge, which we're going to add probably 10,000 more shares on our first red reversal in January, whenever that day comes, because whenever we do sell off, whether it be the first week or second week or third week in January, it's only going to last 3 days, so we might as well make the most out of it whenever that day comes. And we're also loading up on Amazon short. Don't forget, that's going to be our secret, subtle play for January. When the red reversal days come, and they're going to happen, when we gap up, reverse red, do not be afraid to load up, because that's going to be our 3-day sell-off, and that's going to be the only time you can make money horsting, okay? And we're not calling it shorting anymore. We're calling it horsting here at Hit the Bid. Horsting. Okay, fighting for its goddamn life. I thought I was going to start making some money on this, but it's hanging in there. The thing will not die. Okay. And then we got Soda, SODA, which are short. Anytime a company, when I picked up an iPod, I said this is the greatest device in the world, and I thought everyone's gonna want one. Does anybody want a soda machine in their own house? I don't care what they have to provide. I don't want one. Everyone I've talked to said, who the hell would want one of these? Nobody wants one. Soda are short for 2011, right along the lines with Tesla, TSLA. Battery-powered cars, no one's buying them, nobody wants one, they're too expensive. The stock got so ahead of itself, went from $19 almost to $40. We were shorting it when it broke down under 35 with some options involved. That trade is pretty much over. Moving on. And then we have US Steels along for this year, and it brings me back to Zolt. Zolt, a stock that has utterly changed my life, ruined it, made it back, ruined it, and then I just gave up on the stock. I've had the same 200 shares in an account in the 2012 fund, never looking to sell it, and just recently it started gaining some strength. The moving average finally rising. Accumulation distribution ratio that we like to watch. Finally, more accumulation than distribution in Zolt. Holding its gains, which was nice. On spikes, generally Zolt spikes, gives it all back, and goes negative the next day. We hadn't seen any of that after it broke 1050. 1050, 1075. When it broke 11, I was in the chat room telling you to keep looking at Zolt. Now here's what I want to say. Self-important or whatnot, these videos, whether or not be bullshit or not, Dow 20,000, if it ever happens, all the predictions mean dick. But if you came to the chat room and I was telling you to buy Zolt at 1050, now the stock's sitting here at 1205, that was the trade. That was the trade. And whether it be 1 day, 2 day, or 3 day, that was the trade. All right, self-important douchebag, everybody have a good New Year's. You know I'm going to be broadcasting live from New Year's at the Kroll residence, so you could watch us progressively get higher and higher. So if you're around, stop by. hitthebid.com because we'll have a live feed or some shit going on. All right, God bless you all and enjoy it. Enjoy it!
I would much prefer Krull.